What is up, everybody? We are back for the Sunday Snapshot, where we talk about the upcoming week in Magic, what I'm playing, where I'm playing it, all that wonderful stuff. So, we're going to dive right in to start with recapping last week. So, of course, last week we had what, 4 days of Magic. Tuesday and Thursday, we played a lot of Explorer, where we played Jund Midrange, 4-color and 5-color Fires of Invention. We had a lot of really good matches and quite a positive win rate. And then with Friday came Modern, where we played Jeskai Marktide to a meh finish. Again, you can see me post live updates round to round whenever I play tabletop Magic on my Twitter page. You can type, I suppose you can find that at Saltiest Gaijin on Twitter. Of course, then came Saturday, where we actually had a change of plans. Originally, we were going to play Pioneer and Modern, just at two local events. Ended up going to the city of Eau Claire, beautiful town, to play Modern, a 3K for, I think, D20 Gaming's 5-year anniversary. It was a good event. Had kind of middling results playing Jeskai Marktide again. A little disappointed in the white splash, so that's why here in the week upcoming we'll actually be, I think, going away from the white to play, go back to playing Izzet, as well as trying out some new cards from New Capenna. So why don't we dive into the week coming up? So with the week coming up, we'll be playing Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, as well as Saturday. We'll be playing Magic. We will also be doing some stuff on stream this Wednesday. This Wednesday we'll be likely doing a variety stream. I might play Magic. We'll see how I'm feeling. But we'll start with the Tuesday stream. We'll be playing Explorer on Arena. What we will be playing on Arena, we're going to start with this Orzov mid-range deck. Definitely like a very anti-Winoda strategy that I wanted to try out, as well as it has some game against like Fires of Invention and other things. But it's a very basic like black-white mid-range. If cards like the Wandering Emperor and Settle the Wreckage to hold up on turn 4 with Flash. And one thing I really liked about putting together this list was in the main deck, outside of the Kaya's Wrath, which we can play if our opponent is getting a little, we'll say, skittish about playing into like a Settle the Wreckage. And we can just raft the table, and as they set up again, start deploying threats. But having cards like the Wandering Emperor and Settle the Wreckage feel like we can kind of hit decks like Winoda, on either side of how they're playing. We also have cards like Tenacious Underdog, Murderous Rider, some Trespassers, because these have just proven to be so good. A Singleton Containment Priest, again, just another flash threat that's good against Winoda, it's good against Arclight Phoenix, and really anything that's trying to cheat creatures out without casting them. So even like the Fringe Reanimator decks that show up. And then we have Angel of Grace, another flash threat. One that I was thinking about is that, like, if you're about to be killed by Winoda, I mean, you can like play the Angel of Grace. You go to 1, get to untap, you can hit him for 5, and then play a Kaya's Wrath, cleaning up the whole battlefield, which definitely seems like a very good spot to be in, where you're just like getting to stabilize the battlefield. So it'll be interesting to see. I doubt that this card will prove to be very good anywhere else, but I'll be interesting to try it out, I think. I could see this being more of a sideboard as like a one of additional threat slash card that can save you. Very basic mana base. The only thing that really stood out here was a Singleton Temple of Silence being a choice, but definitely a fine, we don't really have a whole lot of ways of gaining card advantage. We just have like creature lands and value planeswalkers. And then the sideboard, very straightforward. Grafdigger's Cage, Containment Priest, Legion's End for like the Winoda matchups. Vanishing Verse is a card I've actually been really impressed by in Pioneer. So it'll be interesting to try it out here as well. And then just kind of a smattering of like being able to bring in additional removal, additional wrath effects, things, as well as a Lyra Dawnbringer, which conveniently synergizes with this. But we'll be playing this Orzov mid-range deck on Tuesday, and then our second deck for Tuesday is a little more something in my comfort zone. We'll say it's a Rakdos Sacrifice list. So this is another Ob Nixilis deck, except this one leans into, of course, playing Blood Tithe Harvester, with Voldaren Epicure, the blood token generators, which are just good with Oni Cult Anvil. We also have the Cauldron Familiar, Mayhem Devil, Witch's Oven, the Tale as Old as Time. But we also get some newcomers, Unlucky Witness, Tenacious Underdog. We'll see how these play out. I think Unlucky Witness will play out fairly well, given the sort of low overall CMC of the deck, but I'm interested to see how this plays out. It's definitely been interesting to see this card start to show up in Modern. And then, of course, Deadly Dispute. Mana base is, again, fairly basic. Pretty notable Canyon Slough to try out. I've been kind of itching to try playing this land to see how it kind of fits into the curve. And then our sideboard is another, fairly straightforward affair. Just some removal to bring in, to have hard removal in certain matchups, Leyline of the Void for other like Parhelion / graveyard decks, and some alternative threats with the Chandra packages along with Thought Seizes to help us disrupt certain strategies. So we played a good bit of Explorer this week, and then Wednesday I'm feeling like it's gonna be it's gonna be a variety stream. I might be playing Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. Never actually played Final Fantasy VIII. I've played 7, 9, and 10. I've played everything before 7, and everything after 9, minus the MMOs. Did not play the MMOs, so I'm gonna play it. Always hear mixed reviews, so I'm really interested in trying it. But come Thursday, on the other hand, we will be having the debut episode of the Budget Battle Season 3, which will be debuting Explorer into our catalog. So I have a few different lists that I've put together. Not sure which ones I will play quite yet, but we're going to go over... I've narrowed it down to 3, and I have to pick 2. So we do have a viewer submission deck list that we built on stream in the last episode. So we'll be likely doing that. So I have a budget Winoda deck. I want to see if this deck can actually port over well. I have a mono white angel list. And then I have a Dino Blade. Actually, I'll be honest. I lied. It's between... I still don't know. Chat. The truth is... Oh, I don't... There we go. This will be easier, so we can go like that. So, I've got a mono red devotion deck. This one particularly interested me because we get to play just like a solid 1-drop with some solid two solid 1-drops rather. We get to play a suite of burn spells, which can also be doubled as removal spells. Deck's not so great with dealing with onboard Winodas, but it definitely eats up 1 toughness mana dorks like it's nobody's business. But we have cards like Chandra, Annex. Fanatic of Mogus is a card I'm really interested in trying out. Just having like that extra big reach spell could be pretty relevant, especially because we'll be doing a lot of incremental damage to our opponents. Then our sideboard, very interested to try out. We got Lightning Axe to help us deal with really big threats. Not a card I'm super excited to always play in a deck that can't really take advantage of it, but Red Cat Melee, Chandra's Defeat, both good against other red decks, as well as they kill exactly Winoda if Drabby Noobs decides to bring a Winoda-style deck. And just calling a professional Tybalt to stop life gain, and then there's just some general graveyard interaction with Soul Guide Lantern. So the power level of a deck like this is something that when I look at it, I'm like, I really want to leverage, like, being monocolored and being able to play some very powerful cards like Chandra Dress to kill, but also like mono red has access to a card like Ramunap Ruins and Den of the Bugbear, 2 lands that we have kind of known over time to be incredibly powerful. So this is a deck I really want to play, and it may make the cut, but it's got some contenders. So one of them is this Orzov Greasefang deck. So what I've really liked about this deck was how you can play 8 self-milling creatures. You can play cards like Haunted Dead, which, so you have like valuable cards you can hit back. You can get to play cards like Corpse Churn, as well as Dig Up the Body. So you have all these like self-milling options that you get to play. And you can hit cards like Haunted Dead, you can hit Greasefang, Can't Stay Away, Parhelion. So basically the whole deck is stuff that you don't mind if it gets milled. And then you see the Skyclave Cleric, which does seem a little out of place, but ultimately what it is that in the worst case scenario, like on a Corpse Churn or a Dig Up the Body, if I didn't say I hit 2 lands and a Skyclave Cleric, hey, this is a land already, so I get to just play this as a land if it's in my hand and I don't need the creature. Or I can grab it back with something like Corpse Churn and Dig Up the Body, and it will help me hit my land drops. Whilst at the same time, if I'm up against, say, an aggressive deck, I can just play it as a creature. So I thought that was an interesting interaction that I get to take advantage of. A pretty simple sideboard. Some Graveyard Hate, the Go Blank, Soul Guide Lantern, Ashiok. Dawnbringer Cleric is a card that is a low rarity, hyper flexible card, and it's a card that's pretty reasonable to play, like just by itself. So it's a card I really am interested to see how it fits into the overall metagame, and then just some simple removal and what have you. But the other ones that I was looking at, we'll pull up here the next. Ooh. We also had put together this Winoda Deck. So again, just another deck that gets to play a build around a powerful mythic, have some powerful payoff rares, and another very simple sideboard here. It is a deck that's really interested me. Like, Winoda is, of course, a powerhouse in the format, so if there's a way we can build this where it's budget-friendly, I think that's something that we should definitely explore. So something we've been doing a lot with our Winoda decks is we've been playing Jasper Sentinel, as well as Ceruli, well, not in addition, but we also here are playing in addition Ceruli Caretaker alongside Magda, which can offer some really powerful effects. The Llanowar Elves, again, being a hyper low rarity card that we can take full advantage of in the budget battle format. I imagine you'll see a lot of Llanowar Elf decks over the course of the season, as well as future seasons. And we just have like a bunch of mana generating creatures that all trigger Winoda with a couple of big payoffs. I am worried that this deck's a little payoff light, and I fear that will end up being the reason that these Winoda decks, if you're going for a hyper budget friendly option, will end up actually proving to be bad. But if you can attack with probably like 3 to 4 creatures, the chances of you hitting one of these is very high. I could also just see all of these being Tovolar Hunt Masters. And then on our sideboard, just again, some really basic options, some cheap interactions, some cheap Graveyard Hate, a nice catch-all removal spell, Dawnbringer Cleric, which is actually pretty notable because you can hit it off of Winoda if you really had to. So sometimes you can risk it. And then Reclamation Sage as well, just to help us deal with artifacts and enchantments. This one I'm interested to try and see if it's more of a proof of concept deck than anything else. All right, next up on our budget battle options are, well, Angels. So there's a lot of Angels that you can play. This is another build around a powerful rare style deck where we have Giada. You get to play Legion Angel. I feel like, especially in Standard, we might see these two cards played together quite a bit. Because you can play Giada on 2, attack with it on 3, and then immediately play in Legion Angel post-combat. Comes down as a 5/4 and goes and grabs another. And they just scale up. 4 mana 5/4 flyers that draw 4 mana 5/4 flyers seems like a very good place to be. We also have cards like Youthful Valkyrie, Righteous Valkyrie, Inspiring Overseer, Lyra being a lord. And then Angel Vitality is probably the weakest of the bunch, but then we also just have some other powerful, flexible options. A lot of modal double-face cards, if you're noticing here. We got one Skyclave Cleric, a Kabira Takedown. The idea of these being main deckable is that when Righteous Valkyrie's in play, they gain life on entering in addition to their 2, so it can help you really get up to that 27 life. As well as they work really well with Angel Vitality. Just a nice suite of protection / removal spells that we get to play, as well as some nice options here in white with Valorous Stance and Devout Decree. As well as Piercing Light seems like an interesting card to try. Really good, I feel like, if we're on the draw against an aggressive deck. Definitely a good place to be, bringing that card in. The last one I had put together was definitely an out there deck. This is Dino Blade. So essentially, it's an Embercleave deck that gets to play Rotting Register. You also play Egon. I decided to put the Cat Oven combo in here so that we could enable a card like Grim Wanderer. We also get to play Tenacious Underdog / Blood Rage Brawler. So we have a lot of really just high power creatures and then Cauldron Familiar. And the idea is if you get at least one of these down and you get to attack with it and Embercleave onto it, you're probably going to win the game. And then we have Omnixilus to really take full advantage of these high power creatures coming in with a massive loyalty token. And then on the flip side of it here, we get to play some Malakir Rebirths, Kazul's Fury, again just being some modal double-faced lands, but also all these high-power creatures, just being able to fling them at your opponent to end the game is quite nice. Then we have a Claim to Fame. So the idea here is that this can be discarded to Blood Rage Brawler, but it can also reanimate Grim Wanderer, Blood Rage Brawler, Tenacious Underdog, or give one of our big threats haste later in the game. Sideboard again is a fairly straightforward affair. All cards we've seen played quite heavily. So I still have to decide. I'm leaning towards trying the Winoda as a proof of concept, playing Dino Blade, and then either mono white or mono red. Greasefang I think is another really cool concept. So we'll probably see all these decks over the first 2 to 3 weeks of the budget battles, but very excited to be getting back to that series. Alright, next up comes Modern, which will be playing Modern on Friday. Again, at Adventure Games and Hobbies down in Oshkosh. We'll be playing just Is It Marktide, I'm thinking here. And this is what I'm thinking we'll be playing coming up for the Nerd Rage Gaming event. So this is a very streamlined version. A lot of 4-ofs and then a 2-of. So this is all pretty stock, DRC, Ragavan, Marktide, Iteration, all the spells and baubles. The biggest new addition here is Ledger Shredder. So I will speak from experience. I've had my head kicked in by this card a few times now. It's very good. It's very good in the mirror match. It's very good against specifically Yawgmoth decks because it just grows and grows. And this deck, in this deck and against the decks that this is good against, this could regularly be almost as big as a Marktide region. As well as its Connive sets up Marktide regions, as well as your Dragon's Rage Chandler. So this is definitely a card that flew under my radar. I'd kind of seen it and kind of thought it might be good, but it's definitely proving itself to be very, very strong, having now played against it a bit. And then on our sideboard, fairly stock again, 1 Magus, 1 Maw, 1 Blood Moon. I have 2 Alpine Moons. I'm not sure how I feel about these in addition to these cards, so this one might get cut between, say, now and Friday. We'll see how I feel. But it is still really strong to have it for 1 mana and being able to take care of... because these aren't necessarily all that amazing against decks like Hammer Time. They're not bad, but they're also they can be pretty weak. So it'd be interesting to see having 4 of these effects. I do strongly feel like it'll get cut. Then we have Dress Down, Engineered Explosives. This is probably the most out there card for my deck. But I found that Yawgmoth is a very bad matchup for this deck. And I've been having to play against it a lot, as well as it's been creeping up as far as metagame share goes. So I feel like having access to a card like Grafdigger's Cage in my sideboard could be quite powerful. It does specifically stop all their undying creatures, which is actually that was the mechanic this card was designed to play against, as well as it stops flashback spells, as well as it stops Court of Calling / Collected Company, which in that specific matchup, those style of effects are very prevalent. So just having access to a Grafdigger's Cage seems really good. And though we're a blue-red deck, and traditionally these decks do a lot of flashing back, we actually don't have any cards in our entire deck that take cards out of our graveyard or casts anything from our graveyard. So this has 0 drawback against us, which is quite nice. So I'll be very excited to play this a bit. And I'll also be playing this on Saturday for Modern as well, because again, this is what I'm feeling pretty confident I'll be playing in the Nerd Rage event, albeit the sideboard will get probably some tweaking between now and then. Then for Pioneer on Saturday, I didn't get to play it last week, so I'm finally going to get to play it this week. We're going to play Abzan Midrange. Again, a deck we've been playing a little bit with. I've been really liking, so I just want to keep getting games in with it. So I'm really looking forward to playing this one. And that's pretty much gonna be it for the week. If we end up playing Magic on Wednesday and not a variety game, then we'll likely be just playing some Explorer, maybe doing a little work on the Moxfield library. So of course, if you want to try any of the decks that I've shown you tonight, of course I'll have all the links to my my Moxfield account down in the description below, so you can check all those out there. Again, you can catch our stream. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as we'll be streaming Wednesday this week. And then next Sunday we'll be doing the podcast. Will be returning as well, with Drabby Noobs being back from his vacation. And we'll be sort of going from there. You can follow me on Twitter, again, @SaltyestGaijin, if you want to stay up to date with all my tabletop content. I post, of course, what I'm playing, as well as how I'm doing in each of those events, and you can stay up to date with me there. Of course, if you haven't already, you can hit that subscribe button, as well as clicking that bell. You can find me at Twitch at twitch.tv/thesaltiestgaijin, and I'll have links to all my social media and streaming down in the description below as well. Again, I appreciate you all for watching, and we will see you again soon.